Let's hurry this up. I got a sick calf on the ranch needs tending to.
All right, so go ahead and introduce yourself. What's your name?
Name's Tough. Kind of like stuff, but without the S. I'm American. From America.
All right, Tough. Define evangelism.
Oh, evangelism. Let's see here. You know, I like to, big words like that, I like to break them up into segments. You know, I struggle with some big words here and there, and I like to cut it into segments for
My
myself.
own background, evangelism typically has to do with some sort of talking, sharing the gospel, sharing personal witness, preaching, some sort of action Christians take to sort of perpetuate the gospel, tell other people about it, that sort of thing. So it has a lot of different variations, but that's generally.
So you got evangelism, is van, like a minivan you might drive, and gel, kind of like hair gel or jelly, and then ism, you know, kind of like a prism, I guess.
Think of the definition of evangelism, or at least my thought of the definition, what it is like going out and spreading the word or the gospel of Jesus, and in a sense trying to convert them to Christianity, or at least tell them about it so they will convert. That's the hope, I think.
Yeah, I'd say it's kind of like a jelly van. You driving around town and handing out jelly to your fella partners on the street that need jelly.
Whenever I lost my faith, I guess, if you'll say that, and I don't know, stopped believing, I used to think that I needed to go out and tell everybody how wrong they were. But now I really don't feel like that. I feel like that's really stupid and arrogant. So I don't evangelize now as an atheist. Definitely open to talking to people about it and, you know, telling them my views, and who knows, maybe that will change their views. I don't think as an atheist we're out to change people's views. I think a lot of those people that do that are often hate-filled. I mean, that might just be a generalization, but I don't know.
Do you have any stories about a time you evangelized to someone?
Oh yeah, I'd say out on the ranch, you know, it's a lot like herding cattle.
I have been involved in sort of mission stuff, you know, where somebody preaches and I don't know, I think I was doing puppets or something for kids at the time when I was younger. But not, I would say not generally speaking. Can't remember a time when I've really been an evangelist. If you
You know, chase them down, rope them in, dally, you got them in, and brand them. Kind of like you're branding them for Christ, you know what I mean?
I think there are forms of evangelism in terms of missions where it's helpful to go to people in impoverished nations or people that are in help and give them things that they need. I don't think it's helpful just to go and minister to people.
So that's how you evangelize to people? Rope them and brand them?
Oh, that's just one of those, you know, synonyms I'm using there.
So, since Christians put so much focus on evangelism, why do you think sometimes it might not be successful, or have a bad reputation?
Well, I think that sometimes we go out and do missions and maybe they're just not as long as they should be. So, like whenever I went on my mission trip to Mexico, we were only there for 4 days. So we probably weren't able to get the message as deep as we wanted to.
That's good.
I think kind of a problem with some Christian evangelism is like we go out for such a short time and we focus more on sharing the news than being in relationship with other people, and being in relationship with other people really helps them more take in what you're actually saying to them and apply it more to their lives. And so if we go and just be like, hey, Jesus, you know. And they're like, oh, yeah, cool. And then we leave, then they're like, then something happens in their life, like, okay, where does Jesus fit in now? So I think just handing out pamphlets or going on short-term missions definitely isn't as effective, which may be why, even though we put so much focus on, we're not as successful. Long-term mission trips and people walking through life as Christians definitely is more helpful.
I think that's just like what Jesus did in the Bible so many times. Like, he gets in their life and in their mess to walk through that with them, and it's so important for everything. So I think that's just like what Jesus did. It's what we should do. So
Yeah, for sure. Scene.
So, have you ever had someone try to evangelize to you?
Yes, sir. I up at my cousin's house in the city one
How
time.
do you feel about those people who like stand on street corners and yell, "You're gonna go to hell unless you repent and accept Jesus"? Do you think that's productive or harmful?
It's definitely harmful. I mean, like you like everybody, every organization, like even Christians, Muslims, and atheists are all viewed as the worst of them. So those people that stand on corners and preach fire and brimstone, like the Westboro Baptist Church, or just any fundamental religious person who's really ideological, they are seen as the worst, and that is what whole groups of people are seen as. So like Christianity is often labeled as, like, the Westboro Baptist Church is often labeled as Christian, when we know that they're not actual Christians, because Jesus was somebody that loves people. He didn't hate them, even if they had disagreeing beliefs. But like a lot of people see Christians as the Westboro Baptist Church.
Somebody was ringing on the door ringer, and went up to the door and had a couple fellers, city slickers, saying how they have 18 wives and live in a little community together. And
I think that oftentimes there can be, historically, the Christian tradition has not been great when it comes to being sensitive to other people groups, to other languages, nationalities, ethnicities, what have you, and so we've tended to force ourselves onto others and sort of Christianize our own culture and then spread it around. So that troubles me greatly. We're better at it now, but I still think that there's some problems with that. But I'm for it, if you will. I think everybody should at least have the opportunity to say no to Jesus. If whether they're going to say yes or not, they should at least have the ability to say no.
first it sounded all nice and whatnot, but I figured, Jesus had one wife maybe, so I figured that's enough for me.
How do you feel about those who stand on a street corner yelling that you will go to hell unless you repent and accept Jesus?
I was walking downtown Chicago, and there was a person standing up on a box yelling those things, like, repent. I was in seminary, so I confronted this guy, and I feel obviously like this is more fear tactics, and hellfire brimstone approaches make me feel almost like it's counterproductive if we, and it really does go to what you think is important theologically. Do you think it's important just to say this prayer on a street corner, and then Jesus, it all happens, and I think there's something to that. But if there's no discipling, I just think it's counterproductive, and I don't like it. And I confronted this guy, and he's like, "How many people have you won to the Lord in the last week?" And I'm like, "Well, I don't know that I'm supposed to win this thing. I'm just supposed to lead people into like relationship." And I've lived my life. I've embodied Christ in the best way that I know how. I was with a lot of people this week. But I don't know that we've made some magical transfer. I was once going to hell, now I'm going to heaven. I think we've walked into this faith. So I believe it's more than just some kind of moment, and I think sometimes the preachers that want to scare you into faith do more harm than good, if that makes sense.
All right, Tough. What do you have to say about the people that stand on street corners hollering, repent or you'll burn in hell?
Well, Cody, I'd relate it to about 5 years back when I was on a cattle drive out west, somewheres near Arizona. And boy, it's hotter than two hamsters farting in a wool sock out there. But I just say, as long as you're not doing it in Arizona, because those people must love hell, then keep working those corners, boys.
What do you guys think about religious groups that preach the messages of hate?
Well, I think that it's not an effective way of converting people. What it does is bring attention, but it's mostly negative attention. So.
There's a group called the Westboro Baptist Church that only preaches hate, and they have signs that are just discriminating groups of people, and it's just twisting the Bible all around, and it's giving people the wrong impression of Jesus and what he's all about. He's not about hate, he's about love and conviction. I mean, so that we can be everything he's called us to be, you know. He's got great plans for us, and so the Westboro Baptist Church is such a infuriating thing that there's an equality house built right across the street because people have just seen like this message of hate, and they just want to come together, and it's painted in rainbow colors to just bring unity, because that's, I mean, they know that that's what it's all about. And it's sad that they feel they need to do that, like instead of going to the church. That's what we should be, you know. That's what we're all about. So groups like that preach hate are not good, and it needs to be gone. It needs to be rebutted with love and community, because that's what Jesus is all about.
Those people that are standing on the street corner, one, are idiots because they don't know anything. They obviously never read the Bible. And two, and if they did read the Bible, they read it in the wrong way. So it's not helpful to Christianity at all. It just makes people like turn off from it. Definitely. I think that's probably one of the reasons why in this information age that Christianity isn't growing as fast, or I don't know the numbers exactly, or I don't want to state anything like that, but it's definitely meant to be seeing a decline because those people get the spotlight. The news hits them. People get a bad rep for being Christians because of that. So those people are not good people, and they're definitely not helping their cause.
Focus on evangelism as much as Christians do. They more focus on living out their faith, and then their lives being so much more different that other people will question it and like, why are you different? So then they'll come ask, and then they'll be able to share their faith that way.
That could be why they're more faster growing too, because sometimes Christians can be seen as like hypocrites maybe because they're saying it but maybe not living it all the time.
Yeah, and occasionally mosque will even hand out like Qurans and hold events, but evangelism isn't their main focus.
Yeah. When you were first telling people like you thought that they were wrong, why did you feel like you needed to talk about the fact that you weren't a Christian anymore?
Probably because I felt mad, probably angry, that when I had my seeds of doubt, and then once they had fully grown and bloomed into what I am now, I think I was just really mad that I felt lied to. I was smitten and wanted to do it out of spite to people, and I think that's one of the reasons why I first started doing it. And then I realized it's really arrogant of me, and like I think that those people out there just thought of what's best, which probably wasn't the best way to go about it, and not tell me anything that it could be wrong, and just kind of go on this whole blind faith thing instead of ever doubting it. But
I think that people do it because it's part of what they've been taught. I think that people do it because many people who are sort of share their faith and have a strong kind of need to evangelize, they really feel a calling to it. They really feel a sense of like, this is what it means for me to be a good Christian. This is where I think God has gifted me. Some do it out of guilt. I think there's a lot of people who, I can't tell you how many times I've heard the story, I've never led anybody to Jesus and I feel bad about it, that kind of thing. So some people I think do it out of guilt or manipulation, but I think for the most part people do it out of a good heart.
Okay, so why do people feel the need to share their faith and or evangelize?
So people feel the need to share their faith because they feel like their truth is the only truth, and they don't want to consider the fact that maybe there's more than one truth, or that theirs could be wrong, because then that would take down their defense mechanism against death anxiety.
Yeah, and since people have this my way is the only way kind of thought, they are left with two options. Either they can, when presented with another truth, they can convert the other truth into their truth, or they can annihilate that other truth. And evangelism is a form of converting another person's truth into your truth, which helps them deal with not having to question their own.
I'm freaking landing it, yeah!
All right, Tough. Any last thoughts on evangelism?
I just say it's a lot like horse training, Cody. You know, if you're mean to the horse and yelling at it and you're not caring for it well enough, then it's not going to respond to the training. You know, but if you show that horse love and tender with it and kind and do your job right, and it's going to respond to what you're telling it. It's a lot like Christianity and evangelicalism. Well, you got what you need. I'm busier than a one-legged man in a butt-kicking contest. Appreciate you having me in. I best be getting back on with the herd.